On March 6, 1944, high above Germany at 23,000 feet, a B-17 flying fortress named Hell's Fury roared deep into enemy airspace, part of a massive air raid targeting an aircraft factory in Augsburg. Nestled in the exposed, cramped tail gunner's position was Staff Sergeant Michael Donovan, known across his unit and soon much farther as Mad Mike. That morning, as he scanned the horizon behind them, he spotted a swarm of 12 Messerschmitt Bf 109 fighters forming up, preparing a coordinated assault from Hell's Fury's vulnerable rear quadrant. Now, doctrine said to wait, to conserve ammo, protect your plane, let the fighters commit, and come into range before engaging. Training taught patience. Common sense begged for self-preservation. But Donovan, born and raised in the hard, brutal streets of South Boston, learned something different growing up. In his world, survival meant hitting first. It meant not waiting for violence to find you. It meant hunting death before it hunted you. Donovan wasn't a soldier trained to shoot. He was a fighter who knew how to survive by taking the fight straight to the enemy. The son of a dock worker and brother of a Golden Gloves boxer, Mike had survived 32 street fights before he turned 18. And when Pearl Harbor shattered the illusion of distance from war, he ran to the front lines the only way he knew how, by choice. Initially pegged for ground crew duties, he bullied his way into gunnery school, where instructors complained he was too reckless, too wild, too exposed. Mike gave them an answer that became legend among the gunnery ranks. Dead gunners don't shoot back. He wasn't just fast, he was first. Graduating near the top of his class for speed rather than accuracy, he had a different theory. Don't let the enemy come to you. Meet them halfway, with bullets. In March 44, Mike was assigned to Hell's Fury, a bomber already whispered about with dread. Just 3 missions into the war, she'd already survived 2 near collisions with German fighters. Her last tail gunner made it out shaking, white-faced, and immediately asked for a transfer. Said that gun position was cursed. Mike volunteered to take it without hesitation. When the pilot, Captain James Whitmore, sat him down and asked, "You know the stats? 38% of tail gunners don't make it home." Donovan simply replied, "Then I've got a 62% chance of living. I'll take those odds." Whitmore called him crazy, smiled, and welcomed him aboard. Donovan's first 2 missions were unconventional. He started opening fire well before enemy fighters hit traditional engagement range, wasting ammo according to old hands, but forcing German pilots to scramble and break formation long before their attack runs. On his second mission, when fighters approached from 6 o'clock high in classic formation, he ignored the lead plane and fired at the wingman, the one flying predictable and not expecting direct fire so early. The result? One exploded, the other broke off, and the entire attack unraveled. His logic was radical but simple. 20 wasted rounds at 800 yards was a small price if it saved 50,000 pounds of airplane and 9 lives. He didn't wait for violence to come. Mike interrupted it. But he wasn't satisfied with disruption. He wanted domination. That night, while other men played cards or slept off nerves, he stayed up, scratching diagrams under lamplight, studying Luftwaffe formations, examining patterns of attack. Fighters always approached in coordinated waves, using the lead plane to draw fire while wingmen swooped in unnoticed. American tail gunners had been trained to watch and respond. Donovan saw the flaw. Reaction meant surrender. The enemy dictated when and how you died. So he developed a new ideal. Flip the script, seize control. Be so violent, so intimidating, so unpredictable that the very thought of approaching from the rear would unnerve even a seasoned German ace. Then came March 6th, the Augsburg mission. Nearly 1,000 bombers, thousands of enemy fighters expected. As Captain Whitmore briefed the crew, telling them it'd be a brutal run and to stay sharp, Donovan raised a hand and calmly asked permission to try something different. Aggressive fire. Engage the enemy before they engage them. Whitmore hesitated. You'll be dry on ammo before the real fight begins. Donovan didn't blink. or I'll prevent the real fight from happening at all. He asked the same thing he'd asked since he was a kid losing street fights: the permission to start first. You've got one mission to prove it, Whitmore allowed. If we get shredded, you're off the gun. At 0919, the first German fighters appeared, 12 Bf-109s closing in from 6 high. Standard practice was to wait until 800 yards. Donovan opened fire at 2,000. It wasn't meant to hit, it was meant to scatter. And it worked. The German formation broke apart before they could even start their run. Whitmore shouted at him via intercom, "You're wasting ammo!" Mike simply said, "Just watch." The next wave came in cautious. Fighters that had once dove in with confidence now bobbed and hesitated miles out. He fired again at long range, forcing the lead pilot, a veteran, to stay committed. At 1,000 yards, Donovan unleashed 200 rounds in a seconds-long barrage. The fighter disintegrated mid-air. "Splash one!" someone called. But Mike was already tracking the next. As more Germans attacked in coordinated angles, Mike didn't play defense. He focused his fire, poured lead into the 6 o'clock attackers, dropped 3 in 30 seconds. He picked his targets smart, hitting the psychological center of the formation, where discipline becomes fear. Some tried to swing around to 7 o'clock. The waist gunners got them, but Hell's Fury held its own. Then came the largest wave yet, 18 fighters swarming from all angles. But instead of dividing fire, Donovan committed to one strategy: silence the 6 o'clock offense. 6 fighters dove straight at him. He didn't flinch. At 1,200 yards, he opened up. Bullet tracers clawed across the sky. One fighter exploded instantly, then another. In just 7 seconds, 3 planes fell out of the heavens chasing a single gunner's guns. Whitmore's voice cracked on the line, not in fear this time, but shock. Donovan was down to 400 rounds, and the biggest threat wasn't over. Now came 48 fighters. 3 full Luftwaffe groups, Bf-109s, FW-190s, a screaming wall of steel. Radio traffic confirmed. Hell's Fury was alone, separated from formation. No P-51 escorts in range. Every other bomber was 3 miles or more away. A flying fortress, alone in the sky, with just one man on the tailgun. Donovan could do the math. He was outnumbered 48-1. With another man's doctrine, they'd be dead. So he did what he always did. He attacked first. He poured 200 rounds into the center of the approaching fighter formation. Not at a specific aircraft, but at the space where German coordination took place, right where discipline and timing congealed. The effect was catastrophic. 1 fighter caught fire. 2 collided while dodging invisible bullets. The rest fled, scattered into chaos, a storm broken by a single man's relentless violence. But the Luftwaffe regrouped, fast. This time, they didn't bother coordinating. They swarmed. 12 fighters dove straight at Donovan's position. Mike had 180 rounds left. He used every one. Burst by burst, target by target. He hit the middle, always the heart of the courage. 3 more down. Now they were within 400 yards. Fire flashed everywhere. Hell's Fury took hits. Cannons tore into metal. But Donovan just kept firing. Point blank, he shot 2 more, then another. Click. Dry, out of ammo. His own intercom quieted for a moment. "I'm out." His guns were empty. But the Germans didn't know it yet. As a final wave approached, Mike tracked them anyway. Lined up their lead fighter in his empty sights with perfect control. The German flinched, yanked away instinctively, broke formation. The rest followed. The illusion, the reputation, was stronger than the bullets. The legend scared them more than his guns. They disengaged. All 27 survivors retreated without another pass. Hell's Fury continued the mission, dropped its payload on Augsburg, and flew home through more German territory. But not a single fighter touched them again. The word had spread: avoid Hell's Fury. One B-17 had taken down 21 planes. Everyone listening to the Luftwaffe channel heard the message loud and clear. When they landed, she was riddled with holes. 13 cannon strikes, destroyed hydraulics, 47 bullet impacts. But she flew, and every man survived. Donovan sat on the tarmac smoking a cigarette. The crew chief stared at his ammo bay. Every bullet gone. Every shot counted. How many did he get? Whitmore asked. 12 confirmed, 4 probables, 3 damaged, 19 in a single mission. The entire base knew before nightfall. By morning, the entire 8th Air Force wanted to hear the story. 3 days later, Donovan was pulled from combat and ordered to do something he never planned. Teach. General Anderson gave him a mission: train men to do what he just did. Mike didn't want to leave his crew, but understood when asked, what's more important, your 9 men or 9,000? He trained over 300 tail gunners in the months that followed, creating what would become known as the Donovan doctrine. Seize initiative. Disrupt formations. Use early fire for psychological effect. Don't spread fire, focus it. And most crucial of all, don't wait. Fire first. Make them fear you more than you fear them. Within 3 months, tail gunner casualty rates dropped by 15%. Fighter attacks cratered. The Luftwaffe even issued directives: avoid bombers with aggressive defense. Donovan didn't ask for medals. After the war, he returned to Boston, worked construction, never told stories. When he died in 1998, his obituary barely mentioned the war. A quiet service, 17 attendees. But the gunners knew. The men he'd trained raised a glass in a South Boston bar the night before. He didn't just kill 12 fighters, one said. He saved 12,000 lives by showing the rest of us how to make the enemy too scared to fight. And that's what he really did. More than bullets, more than doctrine. He changed the psychology of war.